The world is enveloped by enigmatic or unresolved mysteries. Yet, there are also individuals who are just as puzzling as certain unexplained events, often due to a unique trait or their connection to a tale shrouded in speculation. That's precisely what I want to explore in this video. The most enigmatic figures in history. I hope you find it engaging. So let's dive in. It was a Friday, November 22nd, 1963, when the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated. Roughly 30 minutes later, he was gone, and the nation was plunged into grief. What was meant to be a calm day turned into a tragedy. The image of former First Lady Jackie Kennedy in her blood-stained pink suit became an enduring symbol of a country's loss. Swiftly, Lee Harvey Oswald, the perpetrator of the fatal shot, was apprehended. The following day, he was killed by a nightclub owner. Despite the culprit being caught and somewhat held accountable, numerous questions lingered. The FBI urgently sought footage of the assassination and witnesses who could offer critical insights. Amid countless vague accounts and no concrete leads, one detail stood out in the footage obtained by law enforcement and the testimonies of those at the scene. A woman, seemingly elderly, wore a long coat, a headscarf, and held a camera. She appeared in nearly every recording of the president's death. Positioned perfectly, she could have captured everything. Yet her face was always obscured in the videos collected by U.S. authorities, making it impossible to identify her. The FBI dubbed her the Babushka Lady and issued a public plea for her to come forward voluntarily with her footage, which could be vital to the investigation. Several women approached the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but none provided convincing evidence to confirm they were the true Babushka Lady. In 1970, however, one account drew significant attention from both authorities and conspiracy theorists. Beverly Oliver, an American woman, claimed to be the Babushka Lady and shared a contentious story about that afternoon in Dallas. During a gathering at a Christian church in Joshua, Texas, Oliver told conspiracy theorist Gary Shaw that she had filmed Kennedy's assassination in its entirety. She alleged that before she could return home and deliver the recording to the authorities, 2 FBI agents approached her and demanded her film. Without seeing their credentials, she complied without hesitation. She waited days, expecting the agents to return the film as promised, but neither the men nor the footage ever reappeared. Oliver claimed she didn't contact the police at the time because she was carrying a small amount of marijuana and feared legal trouble. Her story rapidly gained traction, and new dubious details surfaced. Oliver mentioned knowing Jack Ruby, Oswald's killer. Despite skepticism, she stuck to her narrative. While some believed her wholeheartedly, others noticed discrepancies. One major issue was the camera she claimed to have used, a Super 8 model. That camera, however, was only invented in 1965, 2 years after the assassination. When challenged, Oliver insisted her camera was an experimental prototype, fueling further speculation. Theories emerged, suggesting the camera was a disguised weapon, or that she was a Soviet spy or even a former U.S. operative. Another debated point was her appearance. The Babushka Lady in the footage appeared short and elderly, while Oliver, if truthful, would have been 17 at the time. Tall, slender, and bearing little resemblance to the mysterious figure. Despite widespread attention, Oliver could never conclusively prove her identity. Likewise, the FBI never identified another candidate to resolve the mystery. Nearly 60 years after Kennedy's death, the truth remains elusive. The Poe toaster is the alias given to a shadowy figure who honors Edgar Allan Poe annually by visiting his grave. This peculiar ritual began in 1949, a century after Poe's death, and occurs every year on the writer's birthday, January 19th. Reports indicate that before departing, the toaster leaves 3 red roses and half a bottle of cognac at the gravesite. Witnesses and later accounts suggest the original toaster began visiting in the 1930s. Though no media reports surfaced until 1950, and continued until his death in 1998. The tradition was then passed to his son. In 2006, onlookers unsuccessfully tried to identify the figure, as many gather at the grave to witness the tribute. In 2010, 2011, and 2012, the toaster failed to appear, leading to speculation that the 75-year tradition had ended. The toaster wears a black hat, a coat, and conceals his face with a hood or scarf. Journalists and admirers often try to observe this event, as noted, but no further attempts have been made to unmask or disrupt the toaster, likely out of respect for the ritual. Monsieur Chuchani is the pseudonym of an enigmatic Jewish scholar who mentored a select group of students, including Emanuel Levinas and Elie Wiesel, in post-World War II Europe. Little is known about Ciuciani, including his true name. His origins and past were closely guarded secrets. His grave in Montevideo, where he passed away, bears an inscription written by Elie Wiesel, who also funded the tombstone. The wise Rabbi Ciuciani of blessed memory. His birth and life are sealed in enigma. Ciuciani's intellectual influence on his students was profound. Despite his disheveled appearance, he was a master of diverse fields, including science, mathematics, philosophy, and especially the Talmud, the sacred Jewish text. Most details about his life come from his students' writings and interviews. The tranquil city of Nuremberg, Germany, was forever changed on May 26, 1828. A young man appeared disoriented in a town square, carrying only a letter addressed to Captain von Wessing of the 6th Cavalry's 4th Squadron. The letter claimed the boy had been entrusted to an unnamed guardian as a child on October 7, 1812, and taught to read, write, and follow the Catholic faith, but was never allowed to leave the house. The letter further stated that the boy aspired to be a cavalryman like his father, giving von Wessing two choices: accept the boy, or let him face execution. Another note found with the boy identified him as Caspar, born on April 30, 1812, with a deceased father who was a cavalryman in the 6th Regiment. This note was purportedly from Caspar's mother to his former caretaker. Both letters were later found to share the same handwriting, likely Caspar's own. When meeting the captain, the boy could only say, "I want to be a cavalryman like my father," and "horse," responding to all other questions with claims of ignorance. Caspar was taken to a police station, where he wrote his full name, Caspar Hauser. He displayed some familiarity with money and knowledge of prayers and texts, but his vocabulary was severely limited, and he answered few questions. Lacking an address or occupation, he was detained for vagrancy and spent 2 months in the Lugisland Tower under jailer Andreas Hüttel's care. Reports of his inability to walk well were false, as he climbed 90 steps to his cell. His true limitation was intellectual. The case sparked public fascination, turning Caspar into a local attraction. He refused all food except bread and water, likely due to his upbringing. Authorities initially theorized he was raised in the wilderness, but Caspar told Nuremberg's mayor he had lived in a confined dungeon with a straw bed, a wooden toy dog, and a horse. Bread and water appeared by his bed each morning, and sometimes the water's odd taste caused deep sleep. After these episodes, his nails and hair were trimmed, and his straw bed was replaced. His only human contact was a mysterious man who visited before his release, carefully hiding his face and teaching Caspar to write his name. Caspar's story captivated the world, with some speculating he was a hidden member of the House of Baden, kept secret to avoid assassination. Others dismissed him as a fraud. Under the care of Professor Friedrich Daumer, Caspar was educated and studied until he was attacked by a hooded man who said, "You must die before leaving Nuremberg." Caspar recognized the man's voice as one of his escorts from captivity. Alarmed, his hosts contacted the police, who relocated him to live with municipal official Johann Bieberbeck. Their relationship deteriorated, as Caspar proved vain and deceitful. After moving to another baron's home, these traits were noted again. A British noble, Lord Stanhope, took an interest in Caspar and brought him to Hungary to uncover his origins. Caspar recalled nothing, and claimed the Hungarian Countess Maitane was his mother, frustrating Stanhope, who began doubting his story. Stanhope sent Caspar to Ansbach, Bavaria, to live with teacher Johann Georg Meyer. Their relationship was tense, exacerbated by Meyer's intolerance for dishonesty. Caspar worked as a copyist in a law office in Ansbach. On December 14, 1833, Caspar returned home with a knife wound to his chest, which proved fatal 3 days later. Police investigated the alleged attack site, a court garden in Ansbach, finding a purse with a letter supposedly from the assailant. "Hauser can tell you exactly how I look and where I'm from." In parentheses, it added, "To spare Hauser, I'll reveal my origins. I come from the Bavarian border by the river. I'll even give the name MLO, offering only vague clues." Inconsistencies in Caspar's statements led authorities to suspect he staged the attack for attention, accidentally killing himself. Yet, his true story remains an enigma. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you liked it. See you next time.